Hello everybody and welcome or welcome back to the second shelf and to another video about my ongoing project to read 1001 books by women before I die. If you follow me, you know about the project. You know it was inspired by Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot, who I will link, not who, but whose channel I will link down below. There are these books, 1001 books you have to read before you die. And she takes those books and actually embarks on that journey. And I thought that's a great idea. But I want to focus on women. Hence, my channel focusing on women. And most of these books have maybe a third or so of women. So I came up with my own list. If you are interested in my list, there's a Goodreads shelf that I will link down below where you can find all the 1001 books that I want by women and or about women. Non-fiction, fiction, poetry, plays, what I can find. And I try to be as global as possible. So including books not only from the Western Hemisphere. I have to say the books needs to be available in English. So that excludes, of course, a lot of literature, I know. Anyway, so this is my update for August, September. I did pretty well in August, which was to be expected because August was my 30 books in 30 days challenge. And there were a lot of books from that list that I could include. So I read a total of 11 books off the list in August, which means that my total for 2022 is now, was it 48, I think? Yes, 48. And that means that the books read are 421, and I still have to read, hence 580. From the August books, the 11 books, you will find all the books linked listed down below with as usual, the Goodreads link. But I'm not going to talk about most of them, except for one, because I have talked about those 10 first listed in various videos. When I started this, the updates with the recent reads. So it's not, if you want to have a specific book mentioned, let me know. But I think the list is enough. And if you follow my channel, you have seen me talk about most of these books, except for one, which was, if you follow me also on Goodreads, you could have seen that I had this book as currently reading for months. I think I started maybe in May. No, wait, before May. Anyway, and I didn't make any progress. And in August, I thought, now is the time. So I finally, after half a year or what have you, I finished this nonfiction book, Maria Tatar, the heroine with 1001 faces, which is, a perfect book for my project with the 1001 books. Maria Tatar is an American scholar, mythology, also German mythology. And this book, when you look at the title, and you have read books about mythology maybe, then you might know Joseph Campbell's book, The Hero with 1000 Faces, published in 1949. Joseph Campbell was also a scholar, mythology, and his book, The Hero with 1000 Faces, was really, really important for all these typical plot lines, the hero's journey, the way we now, Star Wars, what have you. And he, in his book, he identified certain types of heroes, and they were all men, of course. Women just at home like Penelope, weaving, waiting for her hero to return. The eye roll I just had was probably also what Maria Tatar had, because she thought, I'm going to write a book about women, about female heroines, and not only in mythological times. So she talks also about modern days heroes, the Wonder Woman type, and it's really I really liked it. It's I can show you maybe the. So here is, the not good at this. So it's about myths, but it's also about fairy tales. It's about Nancy Drew, just female heroines that we might have not overlooked, but it's not talked about in the same way. So let's get the cover right. I really enjoyed this book. You have to have this, this interest in, her going through history, going through books, going through mythology. It's not women in real life, by the way. It's all about mythology and books. But I like that kind of stuff. So yes, I enjoyed it. And this was my 11th book for August that I finished in the 1001 books by women that I have to read before I die. Oh, by the way, when I came up with the list on Goodreads, of course, I also looked at the books that I had already read. It's not that I wanted to start from scratch and then read 1001 books. So it's not that I now already in the last year or so when I started this project have read 400 books. No, of course, I looked also at books that I have read and that I wanted to include. And for the books that I haven't read, sometimes after I read a book, it gets thrown off the list because I just think it didn't deliver what I thought it would, or it was really, really bad, and then I throw it off. I don't throw off a book if I like it okay, but don't love it. For instance, there is, don't hit me, Hilary Mantel. Not my thing, but I can see that Wolf Hall is a really important book, and that's a good book. That it is a good book, so I want to include it on the list because I want it to be a little bit broader than just my very narrow personal taste. Anyway, enough of the public service announcement. On to the books that I picked for September. I always pick 4. In order, 4 or 5, in order to try to get at least 4 books read. And for September, the first one, I picked 4 for September, but I will probably read more than that. And the first one is a buddy read with Courtney, from Courtney Ferreter. And we will read Ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silky. Silko, which was published in 1977. Leslie Marmon Silko was born in after the Second World War, 1948 or 1949, on a reservation, the Laguna Pueblo Reservation. And this book is also, she's an indigenous author, an indigenous U.S. American author, and this book is also set on that reservation. And it follows the story of Tayo, who comes home from the Second World War, a Second World War veteran, and tries to find his way. That's basically all I know. I picked this book because of the author, and to include also indigenous writers, and it sounded interesting and it had good reviews. And this, by the way, is the 20th century, 20th birthday or something edition. Kim, you would love this with the deckled edges and the French flaps. French flaps I can live with, deckled edges I hate. One of my book pet peeves that nobody understands. I just don't like the feel of it, but I like the cover is beautiful. So the second one I picked is a book that I actually read once very, very long time ago. in the German translation. Did I write that down? No, the German translation must have been in the 70s, because the book is from 1966, and that is Jean Rhys White, Sargasso Sea, which is, not based on, but inspired by Jane Eyre. And then from the perspective of the wife that is kept in the attic because she's crazy, and here it's the name of the woman is Antoinette. So what this book does is it tries to give us the perspective of the wife. And like I said, I read this, can't really remember much, not even whether I liked it. I think also I was probably too young, and back then I hadn't even read Jane Eyre. So, and I want to read it in the original, of course. So this is included in the September list for the 1001 books. And then I have Mary Renauld, Return to Night, 1947 it was published. And Mary Renauld was an author of historical fiction. I can't quite remember when she died, but it has been some time, so it's early 20th century. And I hauled this book because I think it was my birthday haul, because I bought this book for my birthday with book vouchers. And I talked about Mary Renauld being a historical author and that she wrote about Roman figures. And one of my subscribers and viewers, I unfortunately forgot who, I thanked him or her in the comments, told me, well, not quite Roman, Greek, which is absolutely true. So Mary Renauld wrote about Alexander, well, he's Macedonian, but still Greek, and so not Roman. But I picked this one because this historical fiction's not that much my jam, but I wanted to include Mary Renauld in the list. So I chose Return to Night, which is a contemporary setting. Julian is handsome, intelligent, and a decade younger than Hilary. Despite her best efforts, she falls in love with him, and he is a gifted actor, but there is also some medical issues because Hilary is a doctor. It sounded interesting enough, and like I said, I wanted to include Mary Renauld. If I don't like this one, then I will go have a look at her historical fiction, but I will try this first. And the next one was a birthday gift from Kim, middle of the book march, Granny Kim, as I call her now. And we will buddy read this and probably start in September because it's short fiction, a collection, an anthology of Irish women writers. Edited by Sinead Gleeson and called The Long Gaze Back. And if you are interested, these are the writers that are included in the collection. So it's short stories by Irish writers. I thought this is also a perfect book to include into the list because I can then include, by way of this anthology, many more writers. And like I said, we might start in September if grandmother duty allows Kim to have a buddy read. So this is my update for the 1001 books by women that I want to read before I die. The August wrap-up and the September TBR, so to speak. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, I'm looking forward to your comments, and I'll see you all soon in the next one.